right. Welcome everybody to the show, the Bay Area Black Community Reloaded. I'm your host, West Coast Wolf. I'm going to come with you to a really good show tonight. And we got Dr. Umar in the house. But let me give him a proper introduction. So those who don't know who he is, let me give him a proper introduction. Okay. Dr. Umar Johnson is a certified school psychologist who practices privately throughout Pennsylvania and lectures throughout the country. Umar is a relative of Fredrick Douglass, the great black abolitionist and orator. He shares a common bloodline with Fredrick Douglass, as well as he's an educational intellectual structure for kids ages 3 to 21, in an effort to determine if they have educational disabilities and a need for special education services. Dr. Umar is very well known nationwide. He's an expert in learning disabilities for our children. He's fighting every day around the country and worldwide for our children. And we're just really blessed to have him tonight on the phone with us to go over some projects he has coming out. He'll be in the Bay Area this Thursday, May 12th at the Black Repertory Theater. He's going to be talking about that tonight, as well as the actual progress on the Fredrick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy. Please donate to that project. Please, we really need this school for our children. So I'm going to get into a few things here, but let me bring Dr. Umar on the line. Let me see here. Here he is, Dr. Umar. Okay, there he is. All right, Dr. Umar.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show. How you doing, my brother?
Glad to be with you.
Yes, sir. I'm glad you're with us myself.
Blessings to the Bay Area.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Dr. Umar, I got you on the phone. I got a few questions I want to go over with you before we get into what you're doing in the Bay Area. But it's a lot of things I think people want to know. But at the end, we'll give them a chance to go over what questions they may have. But I got about 11 questions that's been plaguing me through the black experience right now in the black community nationwide. I mean, it's a lot of police violence. There's a lot of problems in inner cities for our people. But I want to talk to you about the black community for a minute, if you will. I got a few questions, and I just want to get your thoughts on it because I respect you. You're a scholar. You're a leader in the community. And one thing I like about you, Dr. Umar, is that you tell the truth. And a lot of times I've gotten myself in a lot of trouble just being a straight shooter. I don't like to really mince words with people about just foolish talk. I don't like to waste my time with trivial pursuits. I like to get right directly to the problems that we may have, and sometimes that might hurt a few feelings, and I'm sure you understand. And I've been following you for a while now, and it just when we met in Sacramento, I think last year, it was just a blessing to get to talk to you and listen and see how you move and how you work. And I really respect what you're doing, and we're just glad to have you. I wish we had a lot more like you in the communities nationwide. So I got a few questions, and we have a broadcast every Monday night at this time. Question number one for you, Dr. Umar. What do you think is going to take? What do you think it's take to wake up the masses of black people in America? What do you think it's going to take at this point?
Well, becoming woke or conscious of your situation is one thing, but becoming motivated to do something about it is something altogether different. When you look at the black conscious community in the United States of America, they are woke, they are knowledgeable, they are learned, they are well-read, but they don't do anything. When you look at most of our African-centered scholars, they are woke, they are knowledgeable, they are learned, they teach, but they don't do anything. So waking up black people, for me, is no longer the primary objective. Motivating them towards action is the primary objective. Right now, we are within a crisis of intellectual masturbation and information overload, where so many black people only want to learn more about their oppressor. They want to learn more about themselves. They want to know more about everything under the sun, but they don't want to do a damn thing about the oppression from which they are suffering from. So they're still oppressed. They just have knowledge. What good is having knowledge if you're not going to use it? Wisdom is not in knowing. Wisdom is in doing. I am a therapist. If someone comes to me and they're addicted to marijuana, okay, they're already conscious of their problem. Now, I can tell them more about how marijuana addiction may affect them, how it may slow their motor skills, mess with their memory, and begin to exert all types of negative side effects on other operations within their physiology. That's the consciousness part. But that does nothing towards motivating them to do something about it. They can know everything about marijuana addiction. If they're not motivated to change their reality, then ultimately the knowledge is useless. And that's what we're going through right now, a situation where so many young brothers and sisters in the conscious community want to know more, learn more, read more, study more, but they don't want to do a damn thing about their reality.
You know what? Absolutely right. I guess in my mind, see, when I say wake up to me, that means you wake up to getting some action. And a lot of people, I guess, waking up, part, of that is they wake up and realize there's an issue. I'm past the issue. I'm like, okay, we know we have an issue. We need that action now. We need motivation. So at the current pace that we have, Dr. Umar, do you feel like we're gonna make some changes? We're gonna be drawn to action before 2020, the year 2020? How far do you think we're going around that?
Here's another problem that we have. And that is that even if you wake up African people and you motivate them towards action, there's two other issues you're going to have to deal with. Actually, three. Number one is you're going to have to deal with the hopeless, romantic love that black people have for white America. We are infatuated with white people. We are in love with white people. We are in love with white people, and we would be willing to do anything we could to be accepted by white people. This is one of the paradoxes of the black reality, and that is, for all the hell that we have catched, we still want to be a part of the white reality. Why did black people celebrate President Obama's presidential election? Because he won? No. But because he won a race that was controlled by white people. It was the fact that Obama was selected by white people to be president that he was celebrated. If Obama was elected president of Ghana or president of Nigeria or president of South Africa or president of Kenya or president of Jamaica, it would have not mattered because those are African countries. The Obama victory was significant to black people because in their mindset it signaled an acceptance of black people by white people. Why do we celebrate the first black this and the first black that? And this is the first black to be president of this. And this is the first black. Because it signifies an acceptance by white people. So part of the problem with fighting against white supremacy is that the victims are in love with their slave masters. It's like a woman by a man. Everyone around her tells her, get away from him. He's beating you up. He's raping you. He's mistreating you. God forbid, of course. You got to get away from this man. But she's so infatuated with this man that she don't even care about how badly he treats her as long as he stays with her. And because he has stripped her of her self-respect, he has stripped her of her self-worth, he has stripped her of her knowledge of who she was before she met him, he now controls her psychologically, and she believes the best thing she could ever do for herself or anyone else for that matter is to force her abuser to accept her. That is Black America. Black America is the battered spouse of white America. And no matter how much she rapes, no matter how much she beats, no matter how much she steals, no matter how much she mistreats us, we will always go running back to be accepted by our slave master. Black America is white America's bitch. Being white America's bitch, nothing is going to change. How do you fight an enemy who you are in love with? How do you fight an enemy who you want to be accepted by? You cannot be in love with your adversary. Imagine going into the basketball game and you care more about the other team than you care about your team. Imagine going to war and you care more about the other side than yours. So the psychological residuals of slavery, the post-traumatic slavery disease paradigm still dominates the Negro psyche. So that's one issue. You're in love with white folk. The second issue is we don't understand white supremacy. We don't understand that all white people are racist, that all white people participate in the system of white supremacy, that all white people, no matter how poor they are, benefit from the privilege that they get vis-a-vis the oppression and marginalization of black folks. And we fail to recognize that white supremacy is a business, and it has nothing to do with a white person's personal opinion about you. That's the second. And then your third issue you got to deal with, beyond us loving white people, above and beyond us not understanding white supremacy and how it operates, the third issue you got to deal with is Negro self-hatred. Even if you rallied all Africans in America to a point of wanting to do something about their reality, you still have to deal with the HNIC syndrome, head nigger in charge. Every black man wants to be the head nigger in charge. And because the white man has mind screwed the black woman, she now wants to be a man too. I'm not talking lesbianism. I'm talking about the masculinized black female, where she also wants to be the HNIC. And she just doesn't want to be the HNIC over women. She wants to be the HNIC over men too.
Over the man.
So how do you organize a people? How do you organize a people when none of them respects the leadership of anyone else in the they have a right to lead because they feel that they're better than everyone else in the group?
And you know, that's a perfect segue to my next question, because I personally feel like this. In slavery time, they didn't really want to kill us all. They want to set an example. We need us to run the economy. But at this point, with the Latinos and the foreigners here at this country, they don't really need us for any of the service level jobs anymore. So I feel like we're getting rounded up through a hidden gentrification movement for a real physical slaughter. How do you feel about that?
Oh, well, you're absolutely correct. It helps explain why you have a homosexuality movement for population control. That's why you have a police brutality movement for population control. That's why you have a black-on-black crime with white guns and white drugs war for population control. That's why you have mass incarceration for population control. That's why you have abortion for population control. And every other issue that we have. Everything that's being done in Black America is being done to exterminate you. Nothing is being done to control or oppress you. And this is another misunderstanding that black people have about their political time of day. They think that what is being done is for oppression. You hear black people saying they just want to keep us on the bottom. No, right. They're done keeping you on the bottom. You're already at the bottom. In fact, you volunteered to stay at the bottom. So that's not the issue. The issue now, the priority now for white America is to slowly exterminate the African. This was predicted 100 years ago by His Excellency, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. He said that America would begin a slow extermination of the Negro because you were not wanted and are not needed. And that is the same thing that you see now. You are not wanted and you are not needed. Now, during slavery, you were not wanted, but you were needed in order for the economic industry of America to be built. But now you're no longer needed. As you said, they have the Arab, the East Indian, the Native American, the Latino, the Chinaman. They got all these immigrants that they bring in every year to make sure the American capitalist empire can function without your participation. That's why they shutting down public schools in Detroit, shutting down public schools in Philadelphia, shutting down public schools in Chicago, and shutting down public schools in every city where African people predominate. Why do you need schools for people who you don't plan to be around in the next 50 years?
Right. Man, you're so right. So I'm in line with you on that too. Question for you. How long do you think how long do you feel we have before the last service level jobs are gone for black men in America at this current pace through gentrification? How many
Well,
years
they're
you feel
just
like we
about
have left?
gone now. They're just about
Mhm.
going now. Depending on where you live, they are gone. Depending
Mhm.
on where you live, they are gone, especially if you live in Texas, Florida, places like that that have a very strong Latino, East Indian presence. There's almost no jobs for black people left. Now, over here in the Northeast corridor of the United States, the security jobs are still here.
Right.
Certain sanitation
Truck
jobs are
drivers.
still here. Truck drivers. That's keeping a lot of black people, able to pay their bills. So you still have a few, but that's only for now. That's
Right.
only for now. Once they finish bringing over the Latinos, because the Latinos, the Mexicans, and the other Hispanics, they were brought here to specifically remove you. If you go back to 1865, when slavery ended, the physical form, because the psychological is still here. When slavery ended, the first thing the United States government did was they imported 2 million immigrants. Some of them was East Indian, some of them were Chinese. Why would you bring 2 million immigrants to America where you have 4 million ex-slaves who are looking for work, can't find none, and are being incarcerated under your vagrancy laws that makes not having a job a crime? Why would you bring immigrants in? To make sure your economy is not dependent upon black labor. That's what they're doing. And America is at a point now, they don't need you for nothing. And the only reason why they're sending black children is so the banks and the universities can get their money off of you before the government kills you. It really is almost ridiculous to send black children to college today because there's really no opportunity waiting for many of them after they finish. You have 2 million Africans in this country with master's and doctorate degrees who cannot find a job. So sending our children to college is not an opportunity. It is nothing more but a setup for oppression, putting every black person into permanent, lifelong debt in the name of higher education.
Absolutely. You know what? So I got a two-part question because that just segues into my next issue. This is something that I feel strongly about. Um, Two parts. How do you feel about the gun buyback program in the community, and do you feel we need another nationwide militia like the Black Panthers of the '60s?
Well, those are nonsense. The gun buyback programs are designed to rid responsible black people from the ability to defend themselves in the event of martial law. No black person
Exactly.
should be giving up their guns. First of all, the people who need to give up their guns are not going to give them up. The corner
Right.
boys ain't giving them up. The dope boys ain't giving them up. The gangsters and the robbers, they're not giving their guns up. So the only people who giving up their guns are responsible black folks who need to hold on to those guns. Remember when Obama got elected, white people bought more weapons from the
Hmm.
gun stores of America than at any point in American history since the Pearl Harbor invasion. And they bought them because poor white people, they don't know no better. They thought that Obama becoming president meant that black people were taking over the country. They don't understand that Obama was a stool pigeon, a flunky, a token, a bourgeois Negro. They didn't know that. So they ran off to the stores to get all the bullets and guns, and they've been buying all the bullets and guns up for the past 8 years. So black America, in many ways, is a sitting duck because we're not prepared not only for the Army, but for the citizenship of America, which can be deputized at any time. And a lot of blacks fail to realize this. The government has the ability to deputize ordinary white folks and give them the power to exterminate black folks. They did it in Hurricane Katrina, okay, and they've done it at other points in time. They did it during the Tulsa, Oklahoma riots or race war, and they did it in other places. So white folks are always ready and willing and waiting for the government to call upon them to carry out the ultimate task of ridding America of black folks, because black people are not American. They've never been American, and they've never been treated by America as American. See, ultimately, you don't judge your citizenship by what is on paper. And see, again, that goes towards trusting white folks and being in love with white folks. And listen, you don't look at your marriage certificate and say, well, I'm your husband. That's not what a husband does. A wife doesn't look at her marriage certificate and say, I'm your wife, because it says it on the marriage certificate. No, you're not my wife because it says it on the marriage certificate. You're my wife because you treat me like my wife. You understand? You take care of me. I take care of you. We are in a loving, committed relationship. That's what makes me your husband. That's what makes you my wife. Just having it on paper doesn't mean anything. And black people need to stop looking at what's on paper and look at what is actually being done to determine their status in America. When you look at the treatment of black people in this country, there is no way in hell any sane African could ever conclude that they are an American citizen.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I got another question, because I've been seeing a lot of videos on YouTube, and different ones have different things to say about you. They talking about he's a thug, or he's angry, and all this stuff. And now I'm just like, I listen to the whole thing and see, okay, they're real clueless on what they think. So I'm thinking to myself, so what do you have to say to the simple-minded Negro that will hear this rebroadcast on YouTube channel and something ignorant to say?
I don't really have much to say to them. We've never had, any of our great ones, and I don't consider myself to be amongst them, but when you look at our great ones, whether it's a Marcus Garvey, whether it's a Dr. King, whether it's a Malcolm, it's a Medgar Evers, whether it's a Ida B. Wells, or Sojourner Truth, or Harriet Tubman, they all had their detractors. And let's just take it to the spiritual level. Everything has its opposite in reality. The evil must always manifest itself with the good. So as hard as I'm working to save our children, there's someone working harder to hurt our children. As hard as I'm working to build the Fredrick Douglass and Marcus Garvey RBG International Leadership Academy, there's someone who's working just as hard to tear that down. As hard as I work to preach the good gospel of Garveyism and revolutionary Pan-Africanism, there's someone who's coming to detract from that. So I understand that when the universe was created, there was an equal balance of good and evil, positive and negative, darkness and light, yin and yang, masculine and feminine, that was created that upholds this universe, a perfect balance of light and day. You get 12 hours of light and you get 12 hours of darkness. So I understand that there's always going to be that negative magnetism pulling away from the positivity. But as long as I stay true to what I'm trying to do and walk, that won't even matter. Despite all the hate, I've been the most requested black scholar in the world for 5 years. That's without Oprah Winfrey. That's without being a bourgeoisie. That's without being a Mason. That's without being a member of any fraternity. That's without being a part of the Coon Illuminati. That's without being homosexual. So, I have more YouTube videos than any scholar alive. Okay, I have the most diverse support group of any African scholar in the world. My book, Psychoacademic Holocaust, is one of the top sellers in the country. So, for me, I don't even worry about that. I just got to stay to task and keep doing what I'm supposed to do. Our people support me because I don't just run around and talk like most scholars. I try to make a difference. Tomorrow morning, I have the Black Parent Teleconference. If any of your listeners has any questions about their children, education, and mental health, they can call in tomorrow morning, Tuesday, from 6 a.m. until 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Dr. Umar Johnson gives out his expertise for free, no money, and I will answer any question you have. I've been doing this for 3 years. June 30th to July 14th, I'll be hosting the Unapologetically African College Tour for boys and girls. If any of your listeners has children between the age of 11 and 17 who they would like to send on a tour, I would more than welcome them. We will be taking them to the Audubon Ballroom, which is now the Malcolm and Betty Shabazz Center where Brother Malcolm was murdered. Theater. We will be taking them to the Ferncliff Cemetery where Brother Malcolm, Dr. Ben, Paul Robeson, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, young Malcolm Shabazz are buried, and others. Pour libations there. We're going to the Harriet Tubman Grave Museum, home, the Frederick Douglass Grave, home, the Great Blacks and Wax Museum, the Baltimore Aquarium, Reginald F. Lewis Museum, the Nat Turner Trail, Coppin State, Bowie State, Morgan State, Howard University, Virginia State, 14 days and 14 nights with Dr. Umar Johnson. Not only will it be college, it will be African history and culture, and not only that, there will be seminars conducted where we teach our young people about things that are important for them to know as they grow to be strong contributing members of their community, what to do when you get stopped by the police, how to start your own business, why you need to have your own business, why doing good in school is important, understanding white supremacy and racism, African history and culture. I mean, it's just going to be a powerful 14 days and 14 nights. It's my first tour. If parents are interested, they can register their children right now online at princeofpanafricanism.eventbrite.com. I repeat, Prince of Pan-Africanism, the Umar's return to Oakland this coming Thursday, May the 12th. I'll be at the Black Repertory Theater in Berkeley, 2601 Adeline Avenue, I believe is the address. Doors open up at 4. Lecture will be from 6 to 9. There's only about 50 tickets left. That's why I'm announcing this. So if you plan on coming out to see me Thursday, you need to get on Eventbrite right now. There's only 50 tickets left. And once they're gone, they're gone. But on Wednesday night, we will be having a meet and greet at the Marcus Bookstore from 6 to 9 on Wednesday night. So if you don't get a chance to get a ticket, at least you can stop by for the meet and greet at the Marcus Bookstore.
That sounds great. Yeah, Dr. Umar, I appreciate you so much, my brother. You're doing the right thing, and I don't give a damn what these people are saying, because I'm like, you know what? Dr. George Frazier, he runs the Power Networking Conference every year. I'm not sure you're familiar with him. I think you probably are. And he says, you know what? Yeah, he says, you know what? If you don't get angry, you don't do nothing. You won't get nothing done. And I find myself angry. So I'm making all kind of moves in the community locally to find the right people to connect with. Because I told my people, I said, listen, you got to sort your circle. You got to sort your circle, because you can't run with everybody. Everybody don't have the same mission. They don't have the same fervor. They have the same passion to make things change for our people in the future. So like if I got somebody like Limp and just not really passionate about nothing, I can't spend too much time with them, because we dying out here and people are planning. I feel like it's a military action, camouflage by economics, to get rid of our people. And I'm sure you agree. And I'm like, at this point in time, I'm getting my people prepared I said, make sure you have 3 months worth of food, water. Make sure you got security, the tools you need to have. Don't give your guns back. Don't do none of that stupid shit, because things going to happen in the future. You're looking around with your head up. Nobody's coming to save you. When they quarantine us, and the people out here in the Bay Area, I'm not sure you know about it, but they migrated us a lot of us out of the Oakland area, where it's rich, and people coming from San Francisco to Oakland now. White folks coming and moving here. All the poor black folks moving to Antioch, Pittsburgh, Bay Point. I ain't going out there, because ain't nothing out there is dead out there. And when they start killing folks in massive amounts of numbers, the media's not gonna cover all of that. The money is in Oakland and San Francisco. I tell people, listen, when you move out of this area right here, you ain't gonna be covered by the media when they start shutting y'all down over there. And they can poison the water. They did in Flint, Michigan. They poison the water. They can do all kinds of it. Antioch ain't got really no resources out there whatsoever. So you like to go out there because you didn't get with your brothers and sisters and pull your money together and hold down on something over here. Now you got to go isolate yourself over here. There's somebody right now living in the complex where I'm at, and they actually they got 5 people trying to live over there with one lady on Section 8. That ain't going to work. 1 bedroom. So it's like that's going to happen a lot more, because you know what? People are not angry. They want to get pissed for a minute. They don't want to do nothing long lasting. And it's killing us right here. So I told my people, sort your circle, because you can't. The field slave and house slaves don't belong in the same category. They can't run together. They never was, never will. And what we have now, people have a mentality of protecting themselves. They're looking for the government to take care of them. And when the government turn their hand and give you that back hand, you're going to look around. It's too late to form something. And I feel like Dr. Umar, through history, I look at the great black migration. I did a broadcast on the black migration. I said, if you read in history, you see the parallels we live into today. They moved everybody out of the wealthy places that they built up through sharecropping and whatever land they had in the South, migrated to the North. White folks took all that stuff over in the South. Now we built up the North and the East Coast, West Coast. Now they're moving us again. We keep letting people move us. We can't build no wealth for our future. And you got some parents, ignorant as they might be, saying, you know what? I didn't actually have nothing, so my kid ain't gonna have nothing. Oh well, you have to do it like I did. No, that's wrong. To build wealth, like you said, we gotta put something for our kids now. You can't have your kids starting over and over. We started over. Hell, our grandparents started over when they moved out of there. Everybody running for their life. But at this point, we ain't gotta move no more, because they tired of us right now. So at this point, hey, they don't want us to move no way. They want us dead. They want us done, because, like you said, we're not needed no more. We're obsolete. And to talk to Negroes about this, some Negroes just don't get it. We are obsolete. This is a business transaction. You only get your last transaction, and right now we have no work for you. And I feel like after the work is gone, the last few service level jobs that we do have left in the community for black men especially, you got Negroes out here who ain't got a job. Section 8 get moved to the outskirts. They ain't nobody. They cut back welfare and food stamps. They're cutting back 500,000 SNAP program for a lot of different states. People that are watching this kind of stuff. I keep my people in tune to what's going on. So you look at it like this. Okay, when they cut the food stamps back, especially if you don't have children, when they cut the Section 8 back, they don't give you a job. Ain't nothing left but crime and prostitution. So at this point, you got people, good people in the hood trying to live, trying to survive, and nobody's sticking together. So now you got people come out of prison with no work. They tell me now, my brother was on the last broadcast, Brother Darren Young, I believe, he went to campaign to stop police brutality and to stop mass incarceration locally here. And what I find out is that Jerry Brown, the governor of California, on his way out, he's putting in place to put 3 prisons here, 3 more prisons. So if he on his way out putting together some prisons to leave when he's leaving, that means they're gonna fill them prisons. They got a projection to fill these prisons with somebody. It's gonna be our people because we ain't got no job, we ain't got nothing, we obsolete in the community. Once folks do any kind of robbing, killing, or whatever it is, they go into prison, they build a prison for you, and they're making money on the stock market for our people. It's just pissing me off, and people really don't see it. They're like, oh, let me put 1 million likes on this dumbass video with somebody fighting. Oh, let me put 1 million likes on what Beyonce and them is doing or what Kim Kardashian is doing. I mean, just bullshit. I'm like, you know what? You waste your time on that. You miss a good event venue to go learn some about your people, to help people in the local community. That don't get no likes. You get likes on bullshit. And Facebook will tell you, I'm going to do a broadcast about that later, but Facebook will tell you what your friends really got on their mind. They can say whatever they want. Look at the timeline. Look at the comment on. Look at what they posted. You can tell the mindset of the people you associating with. And that's why I say sort your circle. Because when it comes down and we running and gunning out here in the street to save our life, you can't a free man or a strong man or woman, you cannot be linked with no slave-minded Negro. You cannot. You will lose your life. That's how I feel. You will lose your life running with some cats who haven't decided to get busy. See what I'm saying? So, I say sort your circle. And it's just to the point where, man, it's like, wow, people just really don't get it. And like you said, man, is the brainwashing is heavy. So I'm like trying to weather this storm and sorting, trying to find the right people so we can group together and build something. Because personally, myself, I like to buy some land and build and put some people on that you can trust and you can kind of hold down. But but people got to be on the right mindset for that. Somewhere near water. Yes, you feel me?
You might want to go back to the questions, my brother. I'm getting some messages here on social network. Folks will wonder if I was still on the line. They asked if we could go back to some more questions.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I just had to get that off my chest with that. But at this point, I'm opening the lines up. Like I said, you told me where you're going to be this Thursday. So what we want to do now is I'm opening the lines up. Sure. Those who got some questions for Dr. Umar, go ahead and press 1 to get in the queue, and we'll let you in. Hold on, let me see. Press 1 on your phone, and you'll raise your hand, and I'll let you in. You can have a question for Dr. Umar. Hold on, Dr. Umar. It's a big list. Okay, hold on. I got somebody. Digits 5484. You online with Dr. Umar?
Hi, this is Natasha. Such a pleasure to have you on, and thank you so much, Sean, for always putting these things together. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
I wanted to kind of ask and bring up something. Like, do you think that being as though we're still only a fraction of a human being, that the topic will ever come up or arise and be addressed, since it's really never been?
Repeat that question, please. I'm sorry.
I said, do you think that being as though we're still only a fraction of a human being, that the topic will ever arise and or be addressed, since it's really never been, addressed or anything like that?
Being as though we're only a fraction of a human being, I'm not too sure I would agree that we're only a fraction of a human being. I'm of the mindset that when the Creator made man, he made man and woman perfectly imperfect to be who we are.
I think Dr. what you're talking about, the 3/5.
Okay, from
the 3/5 for the
According to
Constitution.
America.
I got you.
The Constitution,
I got you.
yeah.
Okay.
I got you now. I got you. Okay, from the political. Well, here's my thing. I'm not really even interested in exploring it because I don't really have much regard for European definitions of reality. I really could care less what he determines me to be in his worldview. What's more important is what we determine ourselves to be within our own worldview. One of the things we're going to have to do as we prepare to come out from under the shitstorm is we're going to have to be able to self-define everything in our reality. Too many African people, and especially in the conscious community, ironically, they are very much enslaved to European definitions, European legal constructs. Their whole world is based on European interpretation. And one thing we have to do is we have to create a whole new African-centered interpretation of our reality. What does freedom mean for us? Not freedom to the European. We know what freedom means for him. Freedom for him is your ability to go and work to make somebody rich and then take whatever crumbs they give you to go pay your rent and keep your life. We need our own definition of freedom. We need a new definition of family. We need a new definition of man, a new definition of woman, a new definition of community. We need a new definition of happiness. We need to redefine our reality anew because the European has perverted every single concept that he uses to define his reality or our reality. To give you an example of what I'm talking about, in the European reality, let's look at what it means to be middle class. Because a lot of black people think they're middle class, and they're not. The European determines middle class based on your education and your occupation. Now, you and I know that class is a reference used to describe the amount of wealth that a person or family owns. Wealth determines your class level under the European reality. Well, guess what? He even perverted his own construct, and he has redefined middle class to mean occupation. So if you got a single black mother raising 3 children on her own, she might be barely above poverty. But guess what? She has a master's degree from Howard University, and she works as a social studies teacher. So since she has a master's degree from a university, and she works as a teacher, which is considered a middle-class profession, she's considered middle class even though she got to borrow food stamps in order to feed her children. This is what the European does. He is a master of manipulating people's interpretations of their reality. And at a basic level, what is power? At a basic level, power is the ability to define reality and make your victims accept your definition. Even in the Bible, and I'm no Christian, but it says what? Figuratively speaking, because I don't look at the Bible as a historically accurate book, but the Bible talks about how God gave Adam allegedly the power to name everything in reality. That was the first privilege Adam was given, the ability to name. So that speaks to the ability to define reality by defining the construct. Every second of our existence, we have to seek to step out of the European reality and redefine it. And this is very, very powerful and very, very liberating to the African psyche because most of us walk around psychologically unconscious. We're psychologically unconscious, so we have to do what? Reinterpret our everyday reality so that we can become more conscious. So when Americans say you free, you have to say no, we are not free. Okay, freedom is not working for white people. Freedom is not going to public school. Freedom is not getting arrested. Okay, freedom is the ability to create one's own reality and not have it obstructed by any other outside force unless you are obstructing theirs. So we have to redefine every concept so we can wake up out of the matrix. Definitions are critical because the ideas you have control the way you think.
All right. All right, let's go to the next one. Thank you, Natasha. All right, let me see. All right, who we got here? Okay, we got 3408. Last four digits of the phone 3408. You are live with Dr. Umar. What's your name? Where you calling from? 3408. Hello. Last four digits 3408. Going once. All right. Sleeping. Whatever. All right. We got last four digits of the phone number is 2697. You are live with Dr. Umar. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, how you doing? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Hey, how you doing? Umar, I just really appreciate the things that you're saying, and you woke me up. I got a couple comments, and I have one question. I know I probably have a few people waiting. I just want to say I had never really thought about the fact of people being in love with white people. I just never really thought about that, and I just thank you for waking me up, and the part you're talking about where we're not needed, and I couldn't agree with that more, man. I mean, these police are killing us, and it's like a joke. It's just really bad. My question, well, it's not really a question, but I know that you have information about this. And I was wondering I hope there are some young kids that are listening, young boys, that you could talk to them about this sagging pants and give them an understanding of what they're doing. What they're doing, not just to themselves. I mean, as far as like trying to get jobs and their whole attitude of the situation of this sagging pants thing, they don't understand what they're doing. They're bringing our whole culture and existence down with this thing.
Here's the thing, and we always want to be careful not to make the children the scapegoat for the system.
Yes.
The sagging pants is a symptom, and it is not a problem. And I think that one of the things we as a people have to strive to do intellectually, and I think my ancestor Fredrick Douglass spoke to this, and that was too often we spend a lot of time addressing and rectifying symptoms rather than addressing and rectifying problems. Sagging pants is not a core problem. Sagging pants is a symptom of the core problem. The core problem is idleness. The core problem is dysfunctional families. The core problem is miseducation. The core problem is economic castration. The core problem is mass incarceration. The sagging pants culture grew out of mass incarceration culture. About 20 years ago in the prisons, they used to put elastic in the waist. The prison pants were elastic, kind of what a lot of the nurses or doctors wear now, the shrubs type. It was rubber in the waist. They didn't give them belts because with a belt, that could be used as a weapon yourself. Inmates would often commit suicide with belts. So they put the rubber in. Needless to say, the rubber doesn't hold. As you know, rubber gets weak and it pops. So you had to start holding your pants up. Now, nowadays, they moved from the pants and the separate top to a one-piece jumpsuit. That was to do away with the sagging pants inside of the jail. But once the young men got out of jail, they just continued to sag their clothes because since 1 out of every 4 black males is going to spend some of his life in prison anyway, the dress code of prison has simply found its way into the dominant black community. It's even found its way into public and charter schools where, as a school psychologist, I go into many schools where the student uniform is strikingly similar to the prison uniform. They wear the Dickies outfits, the Dickies pants and the Dickies tops. It looks just like the prison outfit. So we have to look at how the mass incarceration industry, which we don't control, has influenced popular culture and has influenced the current dress code of black males. Here's what I say when people talk about the sagging pants. I say if you want them to pull up their pants, give them a reason to do so. That means give him a job. Let's keep in mind that the black teenager has the most difficult job of any teenager in the country to find a job. The merchants of America would rather hire a illegal immigrant who doesn't even speak English before they hire a black child to work in their storefront. So that's why the pants are sagging, because they don't have anything to do and no job to go to. Rectify that. Any child will pull up their pants if they knew that that was the condition under which they could be hired.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, my brother. Let's get to some more calls here. All right. We have last four digits of the phone is 7919. 7919, you're live with Dr. Umar.
Hey, peace, brothers. How y'all doing today?
Please, my brother.
Yes, sir. My name is Greg. I'm calling from Chicago.
Yes, sir.
And, happy to be on the phone with you guys, man. Y'all talking some real stuff. And, the thing, I just wanted to say, I had a couple questions, but I wanted to comment on the little sagging the pants part and everything, too. Like you said, that's not really a problem. It's really like a symptom. But also that people are just using that as a scapegoat to pull over black people and bother black people. You know, it's really not an issue. You know, they really just trying to use it as a reason to bother you. You know.
Yeah.
And
they're using it to criminalize.
Like, right.
Not to cut you off. They're using it to criminalize the black male, so no one will care when he is killed, miseducated, or arrested. And we have to be very careful about that, because what they're doing is they are exterminating the public image of the black male in preparation to exterminate the black male. Before you can kill off a people, you have to kill off their image, so no one will care when the actual killing begins.
That's what I'm talking. That's exactly where I was going to get to, because I was studying, Hitler and how what Hitler did before he actually got the Jews out of there, because he really wasn't wrong for what he did, because the Jews, the so-called Jews, was trying to conquer his country, and they was using it, they were using it financially. They were trying to take over it financially, and then they would have been under the same situation that they got us under over here. But the question I was going to have for you, brother, is what you think is the first step that we all need, us as black people in this country, African people, African descendants, what you think is the very first step that we all need to take towards progression?
Two first steps. Number one, you got to educate your children yourself. Let me be clear about something. We are not serious about changing anything. We are not serious about changing anything. I don't care how many lectures we go to. I don't care how many documentaries come out. I don't care how many scholars write a book. Until you take the education of your own children. I'm not talking about parents. I'm talking about the community. And more specifically, I'm talking about the community's leaders. Until you take the responsibility of educating your own children into your own hands, you are not serious about changing your reality. You have never seen a revolution waged anywhere on the face of the earth, irregardless of time or culture, where the revolutionaries did not seek to educate their own children. You have to. There's no way you can fight a system that is preparing your children. It is impossible. How do you fight a system and at the same time allow your children to go to that system to be educated? So we're not serious until we take the education of our own children into our own hands. That's number one. And number two, the most important thing we can do is separate those who are serious from those who are not. That is critically important, because everyone is not going to go along for the struggle. As I said at the top of the broadcast, most black people are absolutely in love and infatuated with white folks. They would rather stay with white folks under oppression than be with black people in freedom. So you have to pick and choose who you're going to work with. I can tell you right now, 75% of black people with college degrees are absolutely worthless towards our struggle. I would say 85% of black people with master's degrees are worthless to our struggle, and 99% of black people with PhDs, MDs, PsyDs, JDs are absolutely worthless to our struggle. The more education you get from your oppressor, the less useful you will be to your own people. This revolution is going to be waged with brothers and sisters at the bottom rung of the black social, political, and economic ladder. You are not going to get out of this with college-educated Negroes. And this has been one of the biggest contradictions in the black struggle in the past 50 years, or should I say since the assassination of Dr. King, which has been 50 years ago. We keep looking for college-educated black people to lead us to freedom. They cannot do it. All of them were trained by the power structure. All of them are employed by the power structure. All of them are loyal to the power structure. And all of them have a vested psychological, egotistical, political, and economic interest in the power structure. They're no damn good. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, Miseducation of the Negro, he said it best. And by the way, I think he was talking about W.E.B. Du Bois when he said it, that the college-educated Negro is seldom of any use to his race. And that's no disrespect to Dr. Du Bois. He's an ancestor. I'll pour libation at his graves as well when I go to Ghana. But the point of the matter is we got to stop looking to the educated elite. Stop looking to the educated elite. A brother or sister coming out of prison in many ways is a better leader and organizer than those who went to college because they've already been arrested. They're not afraid of jail. They're not afraid of police. They've been self-studied, so they had an opportunity to detox their mind while they were incarcerated. In no way, shape, or form am I trying to say that prison exposure is a good thing, but it can be used. It can be used to your benefit if that is the situation you find yourself in and can't do anything about it. We need to look at these ex-offenders. We need to look at brothers and sisters who have been self-employed since high school. We need to look at brothers and sisters who have been to trade schools. We need to look at brothers and sisters who have been homeschooled and independently African schooled. But I'm telling you right now, and you can mark me on this, if our freedom is to be gained under the leadership of a black bourgeoisie, then we might as well all commit suicide because the educated Negro is not interested in the condition of the black underclass.
All right. Absolutely. I agree. Totally agree. Okay, we got another question here. Last four digits of your phone is 8367. 8367. Let's make it brief. We got a lot of calls. Turn your radio down. 8367. You got an echo here. Hello? Okay, I ain't going to waste no time. We got a lot of calls. All right. Next one we got here is last four digits is 5773. Be ready because we're moving fast. It's a train going one way. 5773. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi. My name is Dee Dee. I'm calling from Vallejo, California. And I have a question. I'd like to know why black people are so feared by white people more than Asians and Latinos. Why is it that in employment they'll hire the Asians and Latinos, even in manager positions, over black people? What is it about black people that white people fear so much, even more than the other races?
You must have came in late on the call, but go ahead, brother.
Excellent question. Number one, the reason white America does not fear other ethnic minority groups is because all other ethnic minority groups can be sent home for behavior that is threatening to the power structure. Chinese can be sent home. Arabs can be sent home. Latinos can be sent home. East Indians can be sent home. Chinese can be sent home. They can be sent home. They are never a threat. You are the only non-white population because you built the country. Slavery is older than the United States. Slavery is older than most of the individual United States. Black people were here before everyone else got here, and the white man destroyed your psychological connection to Africa. You don't have a psychological connection to Africa. He destroyed it, which means he created his own problem. because had he never destroyed your psychological connection to Africa, he could probably send you home too. But because he did not destroy it, because he did destroy it, and because you built this country, you are the only non-white group who can simply not be told to go home. You don't have really a home to go to because you're not psychologically connected to Africa. So as a result, if you want to get rid of black folks, you can't send them back home because they have no connection psychologically. So you have to exterminate them where they stand. You have to exterminate them where they stand. You are the only ethnic threat in this country. Everyone else is here. Everyone else here can have their lease terminated. Yours can never be terminated because you've been here before the white man been here. That's the problem. How do you get rid of a people you do not want, who you cannot send home? You can't be sent nowhere. That's why the Chinese can open up businesses. Latinos could open up business. Chinese and Arabs and East Indians could open up businesses. Everybody can come to America and get rich. You know why? Because if push comes to shove, he can send them back home with their money. But if you get rich in America, he can't send you nowhere. He destroyed your psychological connection to your home 400 years ago. You are as American as he is, psychologically speaking. So he can afford for you to get rich, because for you to get rich means he has to fight you for control of this land. Now, having said that, let me say this. We just spoke about the American white man, but let's talk about the universal white man. Internationally, why do white people hate black folks more than everyone else, even though black people are on the bottom? The answer is real simple. Number one, historical legacy. Historical legacy. The white man knows that you built some of the greatest civilizations on earth. He knows this, and he knows that his Greco-Roman intellectual heritage was birthed from your Nile Valley culture. He knows this. That's why wherever you go in the white world, there's always a pyramid or an obelisk or a sphinx or something that resembles the high culture of Nile Valley, because the white man even recognizes that as the greatest culture of all. That's why its symbols are adorned on his currency. So that's number one, historical legacy. He knows what you did before, you can do again. Number two, your intellectual proficiency. The white man knows that you invented half of everything he uses, and you invented it before he allowed you to go to school with his children. He understands that you came up with the gas mask. He understands that you invented the internet. He understands that you invented the cell phone. He understands that you invented the self-lubricating engine on an automobile. He understands that you invented many of the parts on the train. He knows you've come up with many of the major medications that have been used to save people's lives. He knows you performed the first successful open heart surgery. He knows this, and he's threatened by your intellectual capacity. In fact, one of the reasons integration took place, the primary reason, was to destroy concentrations of black wealth. Under segregation, we had Black Wall Street, concentrated pockets of black wealth. That was a threat to American economic monopoly. So he had to destroy your economic power. That was the primary reason for deseg. The second reason for desegregation was to prevent you from developing a class of black children that would be able to dominate, outthink, out-strategize, outpace white children. Desegregated the schools so he could recruit the black children who could be used to further his own agenda. Condoleezza Rice, Colin Powell, Clarence Thomas, Barack Obama. Find their best minds and use them in the service of our people. Don't kill off the best mind. Take over and co-opt the best mind and use it for our best interests. And then there's the third reason, third and last, historical legacy, intellectual potential. What you did before, you can do again. And number three, your genetic dominance. You cannot forget that. Your genetic dominance. I don't care whose seed goes into the black woman's womb. And hopefully the only seed is the black seed. But no matter whose seed goes into the black woman's womb, that child will be an African. No matter whose woman the black man plants his seed inside of, whether it's the Arab, the East Indian, the Latino, the Native American, the Chinese, the Korean, the European Jew, that child will be an African. No matter how much money they got, no matter how much military might that they have, they can kill all they want. but they cannot create a genetic dominance out of their species. You, as disorganized as you are, as destroyed and downbeaten as you are, as crazy as you are still genetically superior to all peoples on this planet, and that is why you will always be the most hated of human beings.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Umar, for that. That was heavy. All right, we got another caller here. Thank you, sister, for calling in. We got another caller. Last four digits of your phone is 5769. You are live with Dr. Umar Johnson.
Dr.
Welcome to the call.
Very happy to have you here. And well, thank you, Dr. Umar. Thank you for coming around and talking to us. I have a quick question. I was kind of concerned about something that you mentioned. Actually, I didn't even realize this. You mentioned that the white citizens can be called upon anytime, basically, to just, I guess, become little cops in a sense to help exterminate us. Now, I know, and I pray to God that never happened, but I know what I would do to protect my family. But what are we supposed to do against something like this? I mean, that's really out of line, and that's very shocking. So what should we as people do to be prepared for something like this? Because I believe that's going to happen. That's probably one of the first things on the agenda to happen. So I just want to know, what do you think? I know what I would do for my family personally, but what about other people who may not be prepared?
One of the most popular movies that have come out in the past few years is the movie called The Purge. And Purge 3, it's on its way. And one thing we know about Hollywood is that Hollywood often dramatizes social events to come. Hurricane Katrina was played out in Hollywood before it ever happened. The AIDS virus was dramatized in Hollywood before it ever happened. So much was dramatized in Hollywood before it ever happened, including the fall of the Twin Towers. The Purge is coming. In many respects, the Purge has already begun. It's been initiated by the police. The only thing that has not happened yet, which in order to be consistent with the movie, is that the citizenship, the everyday poor white man, poor white woman of America has not yet killed black people. Once that happens, the Purge will come. And the best thing you can do is be prepared. You are a minority within a majority, and we're going to have to go down fighting. We're absolutely going to have to go down fighting. The sad part about the black reality, in the world, not just here. I'm a Pan-Africanist, so I speak globally. We don't have a standing army on the face of this earth that could last a day with the European armies. That is our most disastrous military reality. Even if an African country wanted to come to save us when the Purge begins, they couldn't. There's not a black army in Africa, the Caribbean, Central and South America that could last a day with the military force of America or Britain. That's the sad part. Marcus Garvey used to always say, be prepared. Prepared. George Washington, the first president of this country, commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, a white supremacist hater who used to get the teeth of his slaves pulled out and put in his mouth whenever his teeth would fall out, and was a rapist of many black women as well. But he said, nothing will ever give your enemy so much pause as to know that you are prepared to meet him. We have to be prepared to defend our women and our children or go down fighting. It's coming. I'm telling you, it is coming. The white man smells blood, and it's only going to get worse. What you're seeing with the police is nothing. I fear that worse is on its way. I fear that worse is on its way. But black people are so in love with white people that they don't even see it coming. Their love is blinding them to their reality. And Obama didn't help us. All Obama did was Negroes. Internationally, because remember, Obama was an international phenomenon. You had Africans in Africa talk about how great he would be and how God was sending Obama. And in Europe, the same thing. Remember, I traveled the world, so I know how ridiculously insane Negroes have become with this whole Obamaism religion. All Obama did was distract. Look at this now. For 8 years, he distracted African people globally This was planetary wide. He distracted you for 8 years, long enough for white supremacy to reorganize, refuel, refocus, re-strategize, and reinitiate its killing machine. It is no coincidence that the killing began Obama's second term, because during his first term, the average Negro everywhere in the world was punch drunk with Obama juice, couldn't think, and now the white man is ready to unleash his weaponry.
Thank you.
All right.
Wow.
There it is. All right, we got some more calls here. Thank you, bro. We have 3408. I think he's ready now. 3408. You are live with Dr. Umar Johnson. Brother, you ready? Darren? Brother Darren, you ready? Brother can't work his phone. We're going to have to work with you, brother. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right.
I'm ready.
Go ahead.
I'm
You're
ready.
on live with Dr. Umar Johnson.
Hello, Dr. Umar. My name is Darius Young, and I'm I guess you can say I'm a community organizer right here in the Bay Area. I'm currently with an organization out here, and needless to say, what I'm watching is this industrial non-profit complex really, really decimate and destroy the movement to end mass incarceration. And being a formerly incarcerated individual myself, it's almost agonizing to watch what's going on. When we talk about the type of legislation that we are trying to push, some of the legislation that has been pushed, none of it is actually aimed at helping all of the African American men and women that are returning from incarceration. And the worst part about it is you can't get people to see that, men and women, they are returning home, not just in California, but from all over America. They're returning back home to communities that aren't even theirs anymore. So what we see, in my opinion, is this smokescreen. It's this thing to really rehabilitate the few and leave the masses that were impacted by mass incarceration behind. And everybody else is once again benefiting except for the black man. And,
well
just listening to some of the things that you have said, one of the things that I have come to the conclusion of, and many of my brothers and sisters who are on the front line, we don't believe that it's oppression. We can't get individuals to understand in our community that it's annihilation, and it's not because of fear, but it's what you say. It's because of love for those individuals and not love for ourselves. And this, let me say, one of the things that's really took me back was like last year. I don't know if I could call it the privilege, but I went to the Black Lives Matter convening in Cleveland. And one of the things, I went with a couple of individuals and a very good friend of mine whose son was on the platform with Oscar Grant. And his son asked him, he said, Dad, why are you going to that? Those people, they don't represent us. They don't represent us. And what we see is that there's not any desire to organize the young brothers and sisters at the street level, but it's all this push to get those men, and I guess some of the women from universities and colleges that really have no lived experience. And so what we have is more Europeans co-opting what we have, and it's and all it is a diversion. It's a diversion for them to get what their agenda is on the backs of us and what we're trying to do.
Bingo.
And it's very disheartening.
Let me say this about that, and you hit it on the nose, my brother. You hit it on the nose. Let me tell you what's going on now. The white man saw that there would be an unrest. He knew that it would be difficult to intensify the oppression against African people without any backlash. He foresaw it. That's why the FBI manufactured the Occupy Wall Street movement. That was FBI-led. because under military strategy, you don't try to destroy a movement because that might take too much time, the movement. So the whole Occupy Wall Street thing was originally supposed to be something, but then the FBI headed it off and killed it, which is why you don't even hear about it today. The problem with a lot of these new youth-led black so-called radical movements, the problem that I have with most of them is, number one, they're financed by white people. They're financed by white. Black Lives Matter is financed by white folks, so that's one issue. Number two, many of them are pro-LBGTQs. They are pro. And to be pro-LBGTQ as a black person is to be pro-extermination, because homosexuality leads to extermination, because you cannot reproduce mating with someone of the same gender. It is birth control. So they're financed by whites. They're pro-LBGTQ. And then the third thing is, as you said, it's a diversion, because all they do is react to racism, but they do not proactively build anything for black people. Now, don't get me wrong. There is some benefit in reacting to racism. There is some benefit to disrupting Trump's campaign. There is some benefit to calling Hillary out in public. There is some benefit to marching and protesting. It raises consciousness. It garners attention around the issue. It gets people involved. There is some benefit to that. But if that is all you do, is run around the country looking for racist activities with your video camera so you can react and create a disturbance and catch it on tape, what are you changing for black people? You're reacting to racism, but what are you changing for black people? You're nothing but an alarmist. We don't need alarmists. We don't need people running around sounding alarms only. You can sound the alarm, but after you sound the alarm, what are you going to do? Are you building a school? Are you building a hospital? Are you building an airline? Are you building a distribution network? Are you building a petroleum company? Are you putting together jobs for black people? Are you building a factory? What are you doing to impact directly the black experience besides reacting to white people? And in my opinion, I believe that the social networking age has negatively impacted us because it has made attention-seeking the new drug. The social networking age has made everyone into an attention junkie. Everyone wants attention, and that includes the black protest organizations. Everybody just wants to be seen. So they all run around with cameras, reacting to racism, throwing it up on YouTube, acting like you've done something. You ain't done shit. It's easy to tear down. It's easy to tear down. Black people have been rioting for 50 years. Easy to tear down, but it's difficult to build up.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Thank you, my brother, for that. Now, let me see. I got somebody else here. Hang on. I think somebody else had another question. All right, Natasha, you said John's on the line. He had another question. I'm going to open it up for you. Ask your question, brother. Hope he's on your phone, Natasha. You open, Natasha. Is John on the line?
Okay. Yeah, he is.
All right, let us get it. You're live, John. You're live with Dr. Umar Johnson. Welcome.
How you doing, Dr. Umar?
Peace, my brother.
Peace to you too. I just had a question. I was just kind of worried, just wondering about that, and again about the Black Wall Street, and once we did get our businesses together and all that, and got everything running like they had it, and then do you think that they'll want to bomb us again?
Say that one more time.
And how will we protect ourselves from that if they did want to do that again?
The best way you know how. And the reason I'm saying that is because it is almost impossible. It's almost impossible for you to shield yourself from an onward, direct frontal assault, being disorganized without appropriate weaponry from an enemy who is more militaristically sophisticated, who controls the land where you live, and has a greater army at his disposal. Small armies generally beat bigger armies by drawing them into their own territory. Vietnam beat America because Vietnam drew America into Vietnam. The Vietnamese controlled the territory. The African liberation struggles of the 1960s, those Pan-Africanist movements were successful because they drew the French, the British, the Germans into Africa, onto the territory controlled by those who were being oppressed. The Cubans were able to defeat America in the Bay of Pigs because they drew the Americans into Cuba. They controlled the land. The problem is you don't control the land. So it is difficult for you to come up with a strategic plan of action that will be successful against military onslaught from the European because he controls the land. He controls the American soil. You don't. You don't have any underground bases. He has the underground bases. You see, everything is at his disposal, and it's only our fault. This is why it's Pan-African. Marcus Garvey then already prophesized all of this. And, you know, Garvey is key. I would implore all of the young people and older people, but especially the young people on the call, you really need to study your Pan-Africanism, and not your Pan-African socialism, but your Pan-African nationalism. You really need to study your Garveyism, because under Pan-Africanist ideology, we already saw this coming. This was prophesied by all the fathers of Pan-Africanism. The white man doesn't want the black man, period. So you'll never coexist with him because he don't want you. Now, as Pan-Africanists, we understood that. Marcus Garvey said the future of the African in America is pain, blood, and death. You're not going to have no future. He told you this 100 years ago, Garvey saw it, you see. And that is because when you understand white supremacy, you understand that the white man's ultimate goal is to rid the world of everybody but himself. The ultimate supremacy. Stay with me, y'all. The ultimate goal of white supremacy is to be the exclusive caretakers of the planet Earth. You want to be by yourself. You want to be free of any people who could potentially spoil your so-called genetic purity. Remember, anything the white man touches becomes that person. He is the most genetically inferior species on Earth. So he needs to get rid of the African first because you're the greatest threat because you can get rid of everybody else. You can get rid of everybody else. But everybody else can't get rid of you. They can get rid of the white man, but they can't get rid of you. So you're everybody's problem. You're everybody's problem. And everybody else is the white man's problem. So white supremacy, the goal has the ultimate goal. That's the only way that their species can survive, guaranteed, is to rid the world of everyone else. So with understanding that, there's never been a future for black people in America. Now, we have organizations who have come after Marcus Garvey, teaching a doctrine that was counter to Pan-Africanism. We got groups now who say we want America to give us a couple states because they love white people. They don't want to leave America. They want to live with the white. They love them. They love the white man. Give me Texas, give me Alabama, give me Mississippi, and let me create a black nation. That's not no damn nation. That's a project. That's a project. What do you call a group of houses conglomerated in a small section of the city where everybody's stacked on? That's a damn project. I don't want no damn project. I want a nation. But the problem is most of our leaders who have created these types of ideologies were not progressive enough in their thinking. They didn't understand white supremacy enough, and also they were in love with white folks. Who the hell wants a country next to the white man? Why do I want the white man to give me a couple states to create a little Negro kingdom surrounded by white folks? You ain't free. That's not independence. That's garbage. And that's why when Garvey said Africa for the Africans, people said this man is crazy. I'm not going back to Africa. You ain't got to go to Africa, but the white man going to send your ass to your grave. So make your choice.
All right. Thank you, my brother, for that. I got another caller. Last four digits of the phone is 8035. I think that's Marsh. 8035.
8035 right here.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Dr.
Welcome to the call.
Good evening, Dr. Umar.
Good evening.
Thank you for coming forth. I'm one of these individuals that have looked at Hidden Colors 1, 2, 3, Black Wall Street, all of that. I'm an older brother that came along with Huey and H. Rap Brown and Stokely Carmichael and Pan-Africanism then. I may be the wrong definition, but it was the same thing that you're saying now. When you get 70 years old and you look at these things and they're still going around, and it's still just becoming worse. You said a while back, and you have to forgive me for using it when I'm with young individuals, but I want you to explain it, even though you're saying it tonight, sir. And your statement was that we are suffering from the illusion of inclusion. And what you have said this evening, what is going on around us, what young folks are doing, what those so-called educated individuals are doing, is exactly that. That's that suffering. I would really appreciate it for those that don't know or have not heard it or don't understand it, given whatever, all these things that you've told us and talked about this evening, to please explain that in detail for us in the audience.
Yes, indeed. The illusion of inclusion speaks to the fact that white folks have been softening up black folks for the kill since Dr. King's extermination. And they have been able to soften us up for the kill by via of brainwash, by way of the illusion of inclusion, giving you things, events, presidents, laws, institutions, to make you think that America has changed its attitude towards black people and now wants to accept you. President Obama's presidency was an illusion of inclusion. Even diehard Pan-Africanists, diehard black revolutionaries disappointed me these past 8 years. Even some of our elders disappointed me. People who I thought lived and died red, black, and green were beginning to rethink their political position based on Obama's selection to the White House. I mean, that Obama move was the most powerful illusion of inclusion strategy, the Civil Rights Bill and the Voting Rights Act. I would say the Civil Rights Bill was a great weapon of illusion of inclusion. The Voting Rights Act was another strategy of illusion of inclusion. The Obama presidency was another strategy of illusion of inclusion. And now we got a bigger one than Obama. And that is they're about to put our Queen Mother ancestor, Harriet Tubman's face on the front of the $20 bill. Now, this isn't going to happen until 2019 or 2020. I was just down in Bucktown, Maryland, visiting the home of Harriet Tubman, where they're currently constructing a Harriet Tubman Visitor Center, not because they care about our ancestor, but because they want to get paid off of tourism dollars that will pour in once the Harriet Tubman $20 bill comes out. Everybody's going to run to the Harriet Tubman Visitor Center so the state of Maryland can get paid. They don't care about our ancestors. They only exploit our ancestors. So they're going to put a Harriet Tubman face on the front of the $20 bill. So that's what? Another illusion of inclusion. That might be more powerful than Obama. That might be more powerful than Obama, because whereas Obama was a biracial African, Harriet Tubman was a pure-blooded African, strong African features, formerly enslaved, ran away to freedom, and she was a woman on top of that. So that's going to get the black feminist support. That's going to get black people support, because we love white folks and want to be accepted. So seeing this black woman on the front of the $20 bill is going to cause all sorts of psychological schizophrenia problems with Negroes. Negroes might go crazier over the Harriet Tubman $20 bill than over the Barack Obama presidency. The white man is a slick devil. He is a slick devil. He said to himself, okay, we held them with Obama for 8 years, but now they see Obama ain't shit. So we're not going to be able to hold them too much longer after Obama is gone, because they see that he was nothing but a disappointment. So we got to give them something else to make them think that we care. How about putting Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill and giving that to the Negroes? That can be their reparations. So there you go. You got your reparations. Barack Obama and Harriet Tubman. That's Negroes' reparations for slavery, reparations for Trayvon, Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Sandra Bland, and the people they're going to kill tomorrow, God forbid. Psychological illusion of inclusion, making you believe that America wants you when she hates your damn guts.
Absolutely. Thank you, my brother. I got another call for you. Last four is 9339. 9339, you're on the air with Dr. Umar Johnson.
Hi, this is Mai. Thank you for taking my call, Sean, and thank you, Dr. Umar, for all the information. I have a couple of questions, actually. The first one is, do you think the majority of the white people are really that smart and that they are all a part of this ultimate plan to give us the illusion of inclusion? Because that's not my experience. I just feel like the powers that be are, but not the majority of them. Just like I feel like the majority of black people aren't as intelligent. And then number two is, what exactly is your plan, or your suggestion, not your plan per se, but your suggestion that we as black people do in this country? Because I hear two different things. Basically, have your own, right? Educate our own, be self-sufficient. But are you talking about within this country? Because even if we were to pull all of our resources together, wake up and realize that we're all we got and we depend on each other, if we're still here, we only make up 13% of the population. If we really still all came together, all in, like minds and doing the same thing to support each other and keep our dollars in our community and not spend and continue to advance the majority economy, as we're notoriously doing, they still could probably just annihilate us just by sheer strength of number. So, are you suggesting that we literally, like you said, that we really don't have an emotional or any other kind of tie to Africa per se, as African Americans for the most part? So, where do we go? What exactly are you suggesting?
Okay. I'm suggesting the Pan-Africanist solution. As Pan-Africanists, we believe in repatriation. We believe that we have to go to black countries and build up independent communities in lands that are controlled or at least supervised by people who are members of our human African family. That's what I suggest. You are absolutely right, my queen. They burned down Tulsa. They burned down Rosewood. They burned down Durham. They burned down Wilmington, North Carolina. They burned down every black Wall Street that was ever built. And if you build another one, guess what? They're going to burn that one down too. As Marcus Garvey said, the future of the black man outside of Africa spells ruin and disaster. Now, because black people are in love with white people, they never even wanted to consider Pan-Africanism. In fact, I'll be giving a lecture in Baltimore specifically on this topic on Sunday, May 29th, why black people are afraid of Pan-African nationalism. And it's because they love white people and don't want to let white people go. But the truth of the matter is you will never be able to solve your problems for good while you live next to your oppressor. The white man will never allow black power next to white power. He will never allow that. Never, never, never. And that's why the solutions that have been proposed by all these other black groups will never work, because all of their solutions is about the white man giving them some states so they can build a Negro community right next to their slave master. We don't want that shit. In Pan-Africanism, we know that nationhood, for it to be truly independent, has to be on land that you control that is not surrounded by your oppressor. So that means that even if you don't want to go to Africa, you're going to have to go to the Caribbean. You're going to have to go to Central or South America if you want to solve your problems for good. Now, if you want to stay in love with the white man and build, let them tear down, build again, let them tear down, build again, a lot of black people would rather do that. Some of us don't want to do nothing but fight the white man. All we want to do is fight him because we love him so much. We don't want to leave him alone and build for ourselves. We just want to keep on fighting him because we love him. It ain't that we need him, it's that we love him. Let me say that again. It ain't that we need him, it's that we love him. Let me say it one more time. It's not that we need the white man, it's that we love the white man. So the solution is for some of us to go back home to Africa to begin the process of building up independent communities and then send for the rest of us. But let me be clear about something. Let me be clear. Africa is not a utopia. The reason we are going to Africa is because we are going to make a contribution. It is not Africa's job to solve our problems. It is our job to solve our own problems in Africa. That means we are going to build up a nation. The same thing the white man did when he came to America, build up a nation. We are not going to look for jobs. We're not going to look for welfare. We are not going to the homeless shelters in Africa. We're not going for the food kitchens. We are bringing the opportunity. Starline ships, we are bringing the opportunity to Africa. We're showing up with our equipment. We're going to sit down with the president of African countries and say, listen, we need 500 acres. We got 500 Africans coming back. We got everything we need. We will not be a dependency on the government. All we need is land. And not only that, we're going to hire some of our native African brothers and sisters to come and work these industries because I know many of them are unemployed and jobless and they need opportunity. We could resurrect Africa. Black America is Africa's solution. Black America is Africa's solution. The problem is the black man and woman in America are too in love with white people to see the opportunity that lies in Africa. And if you don't want to go to Africa, because I know a lot of us hate being black, and the last thing we want to do is be surrounded with black folks, then go to the Caribbean. Go to Jamaica. Go to Haiti. Go to Black Cuba. Go to Black Puerto Rico. Go to Trinidad and Tobago. Go wherever you want, but you must go to a black country because you have no future in a continent or country dominated by your enemy. Garvey has said that. Edward Wilmot Blyden has said this. Alexander Crummell has said this. Henry Highland Garnett has said this. Bishop Henry McNeil Turner has said this. Everybody has said this. I have said this, but black people don't want to admit it. We don't want to accept the fact that there's no future for us in this country except there is one exception. There is one way you can stay in America with your slave master who you love so much, and that is to build up Africa so strong, make Africa so militaristically and politically and economically strong that she is able to reach her hands out and protect you wherever you are in the world. Let me give an example. Why don't we see Chinese kids get killed by cops? We don't see Arab kids get killed by cops. We don't see East Indian kids killed by cops. You don't see Jewish kids killed by cops. Now, they have Jewish gangs. They got Chinese gangs. They got Arab gangs. They got East Indian gangs. But you hardly ever see them killed by cops. You always see black kids killed by cops, but you never see the gang members of all these other non-white ethnic minority groups killed by cops. And then the kids who are killed who are black don't even belong to gangs. They're innocent kids. But they don't get killed by cops. You know why? Because they have strong nations back home in their land of origin whom are strong enough to reach their hands out politically, economically, and militaristically to protect their scattered children wherever they are. You'll never see a Chinese kid get killed by the cop. You know why? Because China ain't having that shit. The Chinese secretary will be on the phone to Obama and say, you must got a problem. These are not black children. You do not let that happen to our children. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to fire that cop. You're going to fire his boss. And you're going to make it clear in your country that Chinese kids are never to be touched, because if you don't, you'll never get another trade agreement with us ever again. Do you understand, Mr. Obama? The same thing with the East Indians, same thing with the Arabs. They have strong countries that are going to look out and speak up for their scattered children. So the question for you, Black America, is which African country, which Caribbean country, which Central or South American country bold enough to speak out against the treatment of its African brothers and sisters in the United States? None of them. None of them. Marcus Garvey said, a strong man is strong everywhere. For those black people who love the white man so much that they cannot leave this country, you can stay. But your money is going to have to go back to Africa with those of us who go back so we can invest and make Africa strong. If we make Africa strong, once Africa is strong and return to her historical glory, you can live in America, you can live in Germany, you can live wherever the hell you want, because they know if they mess with one of Africa's children, they're going to have to pay the price. That is the only way you can have Pan-Africanism work for you without you actually being on the continent. In other words, you can have a future outside of Africa. You can have a future outside of Africa, but you can never have a future without Africa. Africanism or perish.
All right. My brother, that brings me to a question I have.
and I'm definitely open to moving to Africa. Let me just say that up front. My question is, there's a lot of, I guess, rules and policies in place for a lot of our brothers and sisters not to come over here without a lot of red tape. So, what do you think about, like, maybe if I know you travel the world, so if we had a list of every country in Africa and have them a Facebook group just for that particular country, and we can communicate with these people in different countries like Uganda, Sierra Leone, different places, so we can have a group to connect with the brothers and sisters over there. Because I would like to actually invest in Africa. I went to a Making Connections African event a couple of weeks back. Brothers were talking about solar panels and things, create infrastructure in Africa. So I'm thinking to myself, if we had a Facebook group for every African nation, we can, and those people who live in that country, we can communicate with those people from different groups. I would very well be open to investing in African nations, as well as traveling over there, seeing what I can do to help the people over there, and sending goods and services back and forth. I think that would be a good idea. What do you think about that?
Two things. Firstly, I'm doing my third annual group trip to Africa. If there's anyone on the line who's interested in going, we will be going to Senegal in South Africa this summer. Senegal in South Africa this summer, July 24th to August, 10 days, 13 nights. If you're interested, please text me after the interview, 215-989-9858. I repeat, 215-989-9858. Or you can email me, Dr. Umar Johnson at yahoo.com, DRUMAR Johnson at yahoo.com, and I will text you the flyer for the Africa tour this summer. In addition to that, I'm going to be hosting soon a repatriation conference. A repatriation conference where I, and I'm not going to disclose where I am working on a project that will take myself and 50 other Africans to an African country to live for 3 months. If you do not have 3 months to give, you cannot go. For 3 months, we will live there together, and in those 3 months, we will study every aspect of that country. We will study its economics, we will study its education, we will study its medical, and we will produce a repatriation report that will detail specifically how we are going to build a community of repatriates in Africa for those in America who want to come back home. We will build our own houses. We will have our own school. It will be an African community in Africa for American Africans who choose to come back home. I'm working on this right now. It's going to be powerful, and it's going to be unveiled it's going to be unveiled this year for 2017. So for people who are serious about Pan-Africanism and serious about giving back to Africa and serious about repatriation, I know everybody can't go. I understand that. But if you're somebody who really feels strongly about this and the destiny of our race, Dr. Umar Johnson will be coming forth soon. Elders can go, college students can go, but you will be interviewed by me because I got to make sure you ain't bringing a white Jesus. I got to make sure you ain't bringing your white wife. I got to make sure you ain't bringing no homosexuality. So there's going to be rules. If you're coming with me, this is too important. This is too important. This is too important. I will give you one hint. It looks like it's going to be an East African country. It looks like it's going to be an East African country, but I'm going to try to do another one with a West African country. So there'll be 2 of them for 2017. 3 months. 1 East Africa, 1 West Africa. We will live together. We will eat together. We will be a family over there, but we're going over there just like Garvey. We're going to finish what Marcus Garvey started to do. We're going to finish what Marcus Garvey started to do, and we're going to go over there and study the banking system. By the time we leave, we will be ready to come back for good. So if you're a serious Pan-Africanist and a serious Pan-African nationalist and a repatriationist, that information will be coming soon. It's something I've been holding close to my heart, but I'm working on it, and it ain't going to be no joke. It ain't going to be no joke. So as far as the Facebook group, I don't have a problem with that, but I would caution us. To stop being over-reliant on white-controlled social media outlets to organize ourselves. That is one of the biggest weaknesses of the black struggle today. Social network has totally obliterated our confidentiality. We don't have any confidentiality or privacy. Everything we do is on social network. I'm not talking about events. I'm talking about strategic meetings. That conversation does not necessarily belong on social network, and not just to be kept from the white man. To be kept from self-hating Negroes who seek to destroy it. Some things have to be done in a face-to-face format. We have to get back to the old-fashioned way of organizing. This social networking thing is taking us too far away from our square.
Okay, question for you, brothers. What is the best way you think to meet other Africans from the continent? Like, what's the best way if we can do it off Facebook? To go. Okay.
And I'm going to stay a stickler for that because we got this neo Pan-Africanism going on. This neo shit that says you ain't got to go to Africa. You could go to Africa spiritually. You can go to Africa mentally. You can go to Africa during Kwanzaa. You can go to Africa during Black History Month. You can go to Africa in your home. Wherever you are, Africa is. Get out of my face with that bullshit. Okay?
Right.
The way you connect with Africa is by going to Africa. You don't go to the Chinese store mentally. You go to the Chinese store physically. You don't go to the Arab gas station spiritually. You go to the Arab gas station with your damn money. You don't go to the East Indian hotel mentally and socially and spiritually. You go physically. So why is it you can support white folks physically, you can support Chinese physically, but you can't go to Africa physically? True Pan-Africanism goes to Africa. There is no Pan-Africanism without physically touching the continent. I don't care if you go once in your life. Like, I was raised Muslim, so in Islam, you're supposed to take Hajj before you die. You're supposed to visit Mecca before you die. All true Muslims visit Mecca before they die. Well, guess what? All true Pan-Africanists visit Africa before they die. Point blank, period. So stop making excuses for why you ain't been. Okay? Get on, not you, my brother. I'm speaking generally.
I got you, bro. I'm with you.
We got to get on over there to Africa. I do a trip every year, and in addition to doing my trip, I normally do 3 or 4 speaking tours in Africa every year. I'll be in South Africa the whole month of October. So there's no excuse for nobody not to go to get on up. But the repatriation program is coming. Those 3 months, I'm looking forward to it. 2017, brothers and sisters, 2017. Get ready.
Okay, I got another question for you. We got about 12 minutes left. What about those brothers and sisters who have felonies on their record? Can they get a passport, or is that like off limits for them?
That's going to be difficult. And that's going to have to be one of the things we fight. And I'm going to tell you why America is going to fight that. America is going to fight that because they see a serious threat of letting educated brothers with industrial building trade skills. Remember, a lot of our brothers in jail, they got skills now. They can build homes and industries. They got skills. America sees a threat in letting so many black men go to Africa with those type of skills because they know most of those men will never come back home. Listen, if I had a felony on my record and couldn't find a job in America, and I had a chance to go to Africa with a clean slate, and I'm a plumber, I'm an electrician, I'm a carpenter, average brother leaves a prison in America, he'll be a millionaire in 10 years. He will be a millionaire in 10 years. I'm telling you. We could take Africa by storm, but we got to do it the right way, and we got to do it for Africa, and I'm not interested in working with any black bourgeoisie Negroes who just want to go to Africa and exploit it like the white man has done, because you got a lot of black folks who want to go to Africa to exploit, not to give back. We are going to build, we will do for self, but we also giving to give back. I ain't no pimp. I ain't no race pimp, and I ain't no race exploiter, and anybody who wants to go to Africa just because they see the dollar sign might as well stay their ass here, because it ain't all about making money. It's about giving back.
I totally agree with you, my brother. Totally agree with you on that. Let's see.
I wanted to remind, before you go to your next point, I wanted to remind everybody that Dr. Umar Johnson will be in Oakland this Thursday. We only got about 2.5 more days. I will be at the Black Repertory Theater in Berkeley. Doors open at 4. Program will be from 6 to 9. I will have T-shirts and hoodies and DVDs, and you got to get a copy of my book, Psychoacademic Holocaust, The Special Education and ADHD Wars Against Black Boys. I know we didn't talk about much about the war against black boys tonight, but that's okay because I'm going to talk about it on Thursday. So if you are a parent, you need to be there. If you are a community organizer, you need to be there. If you're somebody who's striving in consciousness, you need to be there. If you're just a regular brother and sister and want to know what the hell is going on in your world, you need to be there. Dr. Umar lectures unlike any other lecture by any other scholar because I deal with a little bit of everything. It ain't just history. It ain't just psychology. It ain't just white supremacy. It ain't just economics. It ain't just black family. It ain't just relationships. It's all that and some. So please come on out. There's only about 50 tickets left, probably even less now since we started this broadcast. PrinceofPanAfricanism.eventbrite.com. PrinceofPanAfricanism.eventbrite.com. You can also sign your son or daughter up for the Black College Tour, okay? Now, if your child lives in California, you can fly them to Philadelphia or to Newark to go on the tour. Don't use living on the West Coast as an excuse. All you got to do is get them a round-trip ticket, fly them over, let me know Dr. Umar, my son or daughter will be there the night before because they got to come in the night before. June 30th is when everybody reports, June 30th, at a hotel at Newark, New Jersey airport. So you fly them into Newark, we'll pick them up from the airport, get them to the hotel, they'll do their 2-week tour, we'll get them back on that plane, back on that train, back on that bus. So don't make no excuses. If you know you got a son or daughter who needs that unapologetically African experience with Dr. Umar, you need to get them on my tour. You can register them on the Eventbrite. You can also come. I want to invite your parents to Baltimore. Baltimore, May 27th, 28th, and 29th for the first National Independent Black Parent Association Conference. This is a conference that we're doing to organize chapters of the National Independent Black Parent Association everywhere in America so we can fight against educational racism. There will be a special ed committee. There will be a school discipline committee, policy committee, finance committee, social support committee, parent advocacy committee. We need these everywhere. So I'm hoping that some brothers and sisters from not only Oakland and San Francisco and Sacramento, but from all over California and Seattle and Washington and all the other states around there, Nevada and all the rest of them, I'm really hoping some of y'all come to Baltimore the last weekend of this month and get this mandatory training so you can go back and help us organize our parents. You can register for all of that at PrinceofPanAfricanism.eventbrite.com. I will be in Oakland Thursday, Memphis Saturday, Greenville, South Carolina next Thursday the 19th, Brooklyn, New York next Sunday the 22nd. Then I will be in Baltimore, Maryland, the 27th to the 29th for the parent conference, and I will be doing a lecture in Baltimore on Sunday, May the 29th. Then we have the college tour. I will be in Savannah, Georgia, Thursday, June the 2nd. So a lot of lectures is coming up. Again, Eventbrite. Also, let me do this, my brother, before we hang up. I want to give your parents the number to tomorrow's morning's Black Parent Teleconference. Tomorrow morning's Black Parent Teleconference, and that number is 857-232-0158. 857-232-0158. 857-232-0158. And the access code is 870-864-POUND. Access code 870-864-POUND. 870-864-POUND. Call that 6 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 3 a.m. I believe that will be 3 a.m. your time, okay, because it's almost 1 here. So in 5 more hours, yes, 3 a.m. your time, 6 a.m. Eastern Time. Any parents have any questions about their children, please call in. That is every week. I know you got to wake up a little early, Oakland, in L.A. to get on that line, but if you got kids who you care about and you're going through school issues, mental health issues, you need to call in. It doesn't cost you a penny. It doesn't cost you a penny. You need to call in for that.
All right. We got one more question. Make it brief, my friend. We ran down. We got 5 minutes. So I need you to take about 2 minutes and ask your question so we can wrap up. 8730. I'm gonna let you talk. 2 minutes, my friend. 2 minutes.
Okay. My name is Sydney. Welcome, Dr. Umar Johnson.
Thank you.
I heard a lot of positive things. Yeah, glad to talk to you. My question is, and I have a two-part, is that in the future, in the next 10 to 20 years, do you see our youth going to get a college degree or a trade skill? And the second question is, it appears that we should all migrate to Africa or Pan-African countries. Do you see that happening in the next 50 years? Because based on a lot of what I've heard, we have no future here. And when do you think our future will end? Will it be in 30 years, 50 years, or 60 years?
Good question. Firstly, yes, we're going to have to leave. However, some people will be left behind because some of them are in love with white folks. They're not going to leave. Nor do I desire to take everybody back. I do not desire to take any black man with a white wife. I do not desire to take any black woman with a white husband. I do not desire to take any Africans who are sexually confused, lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual. We are going to Africa to solve problems, not to create them. I am not interested in taking drug addicts. I am not interested in taking degenerates. I am not interested in taking self-hating, Jesus-loving black folks. So we're going to have to pick and choose who goes back. Everybody can't go because they will cause more problems than they solve. We have to improve our relationship with Africa. It is a new relationship. It is new. And we cannot afford to have that relationship spoiled by defeatist-minded Negroes who are going over there to cause conflict. So you have to pick and choose who go. As Marcus Garvey said, some of us are no good here, and likewise will be no good in Africa.
All right. All right. Question real fast, Dr. Umar. We don't have a lot of time. We have like 3 and 45 seconds. I believe, personally, I did a broadcast on Michael Jackson and Prince, and as soon as they got their catalog, they were killed silently.
Yeah,
I call it silently assassinated.
Sony Records
and I
killed Michael.
Right.
Warner Brothers killed Prince.
That's what I say. And a lot of people,
catalog.
Right, a lot of people don't understand that they have people in place to assassinate people. That have tools on drugs, poisons, all that stuff. We're just not aware of that.
Every corporation has a military wing.
Right.
Every corporation has a military wing. Do you really think when these oil companies go over to Africa and the local brothers and sisters begin to fight with them for stealing and robbing from their community without giving them a job? It's not the United States Army that goes in all the time. They have mercenary armies. Walmart has a mercenary army. The auto manufacturers have mercenary armies. The music industry has mercenaries. These are private, for-profit military contractors who are legally allowed to kill because it is their job. Every corporation has a mercenary. They don't rely on the United States Congress to declare war. What happens if you need to go into Africa and kill off 1 million Africans, God forbid, because you want to take over the diamond mine? You can't wait for Congress to declare war. You need troops over there right now. So what do? You call up your mercenaries, and you send them on over there to get the job done. And it is not that African heads of state are not afraid. African heads of state are not afraid of the United States military. They are afraid of the invisible mercenary army that the corporations hire. That's who kills off the president, not the United States military. Right. Real quick, also, you guys, everybody call. Thank everybody for coming in. Thank Dr. Umar for being on this call with us. And make sure
also
y'all
send a donation.
FDMG.
Right.
Donate.
Right. I have to say, send a donation to Dr. Umar, drumarjohnson.com.
Let me say this to him.
Go ahead.
GoFundMe.com/Dr. Umar. GoFundMe.com/Dr. Umar.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brother, is glad to have you on the call tonight. If you come in early on Thursday, I can take you to lunch. We can do lunch if you come in early on Thursday. You in and out. But let me know in the text. I'll take you to lunch and we chop it up. But I appreciate your call, brother, and everybody came in. We appreciate you guys. We didn't get to everybody. Come in a little late. You know, time is of the essence. So we'll be here next
Wednesday
Monday.
Night. Meet and greet at Marcus Bookstore, 6 to 9 Wednesday night. Marcus Bookstore. Meet and greet.
All right. So you'll be here Wednesday morning. Then.
Yes, sir. Wednesday. Yeah.
All right. I'll try to see if I can catch up with you on Wednesday so we can do. All right, my brother. Well, have a good night, my brother. Everybody call. Thanks for calling in, fellas. And we'll be back this time next Monday, 8. Peace and love, my brother.
Napa guy knows the only way you'd give a freshly minted driver a brand new car is if he promises to...